All right, welcome back everybody to the 18th week of our Tech Bytes Python session. We have made it to the 4.5 month mark. If you're coming back from the Intro to Programming course, welcome back to the 10th week, aka the 2.5 month mark. We are making a well amount of progress, and we're nearing the end. Crazy to think of how much we've been doing, but we got a lot to do, a lot more to talk about. Last week, if you remember, we finished our project which we're working on. Our rock paper scissors project. It's been 2 weeks. Wow. So we were working on that, but this week we're going to be making a lot more progress, starting some new stuff up. But per the usual, thank you guys for coming out. Hope you guys are doing well, and let's get to it. In case you guys don't already know who I am, my name is Rayan Siddiqui. I'm a senior at James B. Cohen High School, up to program, made apps for the App Store, made a dozen different websites, and lead some programs here at the Schaumburg Library. You can check my website out at rayansiddiqui.com. But in the next coming weeks, I will be joined by, as you guys can probably see in the top right-hand corner, I got Labdi. She's also a senior. I'll let Labdi introduce herself. She's going to be coming on soon.
Hey guys, I'm Labdi. I go to the same school as Rayan, and I've been coding for four-ish years. I'm also in love with computer science, critical thinking, and looking forward to tutor and teach really cool things about computer science.
Yeah, so you guys will be seeing more of Labdi in hopefully by next week. She'll be getting on with me and doing some more of our teaching of our Intro to Programming and our web development course, along with Hack Central. So something to look for. Thank you, Labdi. But guys, let's get towards today's agenda. That being the first, we're going to get started off by talking about the upcoming schedule. You know, we got 3 weeks left of this course. Crazy to think how fast time has flown by. Then we're going to make our way on over to towards our daily fun fact. Talk about our new project, which is a bit more of a fun project to encompass and end this course off. Talk about today's concept and get towards coding it. So without any further ado, let's get towards our first thing, that being discussing the next 3 weeks. Now, guys, we got 3 weeks left. We got today, including the 3 weeks. We got today, and then we got 2 days in the upcoming month of December. The first 2 weeks, we're going to be working on a project which we're starting today. It's not like a full fleshed out project which we worked on in the past. It's not a calculator. It's not some type of game we made in the past. It's not pretty big, but it's pretty fun, I must say. And we'll get to what that is in a little bit. But that project is going to take us up for today and the first date of December. And the last week, I mean, I'm pretty much open to any ideas that you guys might have. Do you want to recap everything we've done? Do you want to do like a quiz game show maybe of some cool concepts we've learned? I'm totally open to any ideas you guys have. You can drop them in the Google Classroom. We could spend it as a week of just, maybe playing a Kahoot or Gimkit of some coding concepts. We've covered a lot. So something like that may be fun to end it off. Let me know if you guys have any ideas. But with our upcoming month of December, we are going to be shifting our timings for our program as well. And we'll talk about our web development course and how all the rest of our programs change in the upcoming week. However, for our Intro to Programming course, guys, we're going to be starting at, instead of 3:30, now at 4:30. So every other Monday, mistaken, you'll find me here with Labdi next week as well, talking about Python, making some projects and all that cool stuff. But instead of 3:30, it's 4:30. Hopefully we can start to get some more of your friends. If you do know people who were not able to make it after the summer ended because of school conflict with time, let them know, guys, and I'll communicate through our Google Classroom as well. But the more the merrier, and hopefully we can get more people out now with the hour pushback. But now let's move on towards our cool Python fun fact of the day. That being something actually related to what happened this past weekend. Before we get into it, does anybody know what happened last night concerning the space agency, NASA? I like it. I need to hashtag Launch America. She hit the nail on the head. Exactly. So last night, guys, the space agency, NASA, sent their second spaceship powered by SpaceX, a private company ran by, you might know somebody who named Elon Musk, at Tesla. And essentially, they sent out their second spaceship. You may remember we did a fun fact about this way back in June, talking about how the first ever spacecraft by Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley was sent to space towards the International Space Station, and that was the first flight. But last night was the first flight ever with 4 astronauts who were not test pilots. And speaking about NASA, the agency has been using the language which we are studying of Python since the year 1994. Crazy to think, it's been 26 years, but why has been NASA using this language for this long? Well, we've talked about it countless times in the past with our Intro to Programming and Hack Central, how Python is a great language for us to extract information from databases, manipulate data, make predictions, and just analyze data. Heck, we've even talked about how Python was allowed us to save an astronaut in space. Remember that incident of how the astronaut had water filling up in his spacesuit, and then we were able to use Python and JavaScript in order to help find which area of the spacesuit was actually leaking. That was in one of our earlier videos of the days. But basically, guys, by using the language of Python, the team at NASA can communicate a lot of information very quickly with databases and servers. So if we think about it from last night, from the Kennedy Space Center when NASA was launching their Crew 1, these 4 astronauts, we got 3 American astronauts, we got 1 astronaut who's from the Japanese administration as well. When they were being launched into space, into the International Space Station, there is so much information which needs to be communicated between the ground team and the actual physical spaceship. I mean, if you just think about it in a logical sense, there are tens of controls on a spaceship, probably even hundreds, right? There are tens of things which can go wrong. And in order to monitor the status of what is going on, the progress of everything, such as oxygen level, checking the heart flow of the actual astronauts, their well being, checking the fuel of the spaceship, and so many more nitty gritty details. The team at NASA is able to check on all those things, make sure that everything is going fine with the help of the language of Python. Once again, going to show us how what we're learning has a magnificent impact, and it's not just for making some cool projects on a local level. The impact which it has is truly global, and something cool to know that you're learning something which can have such a large impact. Alrighty, so now let's get towards our new project, which we're going to be starting off today. As you may remember, we 2 weeks ago finished off of our tic-tac-toe and rock, paper, scissors project. And in order to finish these last 2 weeks, including this week, we're going to do something called a Mad Libs generator. Now, this is a bit of a more fun project, which I must say is because the main idea, see an example in a little bit, the main idea is that it's a template word game where we're able to put in random words in for empty spaces. So essentially, there's going to be a story which we write, and there's going to be blank spaces which we leave intentionally for the computer to fill in. And the core concepts which we will be focusing on with this project, guys, are going to be arrays, variables, strings, loops, and a concept which we talked about last unit, though that being dictionaries. So in case you do not know what a Mad Lib story is, it's basically this. We have a story with blank spaces. Now, those blank spaces are representative of adjectives, verbs, common verbs. And essentially, if we're doing this in real life with a paper and pencil, we got to fill in the words wherever the blank spaces are left. However, for our case, we're going to be making our computer do the work for us. We're going to have a dictionary filled with an array filled with multiple words which the computer can choose from. And then a dictionary is going to be responsible for us to fill in those words. So today we're going to be working on this. So it's going to be a bit of more of a fun project. So let's get to it. So speaking of our Mad Libs project, guys, for today, we're going to be creating the story for leaving some blank spaces intentionally for the computer to choose some random words. Although today we will not be working on the actual algorithm, which is going to randomly select those words and fill them in. We're going to be sort of creating the outline for our functions and creating the overall story as well. So knowing all that, how about we open up our Python website and get to work coding. As always, I will be dropping the link to our coding website in the chat. One quick moment. All right, the link should be in the chat now. Lavdi is here, don't worry.
I'm here.
Oh, that's only the panelists. There you go. Give everybody a minute, quick minute to get on the website, and we'll get started. Alrighty, so actually, how about before, hopefully you made your way onto the website, just to make sure that we all understand what goes on. So essentially, we're gonna have some story. There was some blank space right here, day. And then the main idea with this project is that we're gonna have an array. We can just call adjective array. And this array is going to be holding multiple adjectives. Was it a good day? Was it a bad day? Was it a great day? Was it a terrible? You get the gist, right? There's a bunch of adjectives which describe that blank space and it can be filled in. And essentially the thing we're going to be making is going to be a longer type story, which we're going to make today, leaving some blank spaces and making an array which is representative of filling in those blank spaces as well. So with that in mind, Abraham, you are correct. So that's why we're going to be sort of making it so the computer makes the story for us. There's a way which is a bit more simpler if we just have a bunch of variables holding user inputs. But because we are getting more proficient, we're getting better and better as the weeks progress, we're going to be doing something in which the computer is going to hold an array of all the words describing the blank spaces. And the computer, every time we run the program, is going to make a random story. So it'll be fun to see what the random story is. Does that make sense? All right, awesome. Yeah, so that for sure would have been a lot of user input. That's why we're making it the computer do it. That's the awesome thing with what we're doing, right? All right, so how about we firstly create the story? Oh. All right, so how about we firstly create the story, and then we can get into talking about where and what words will fill it up. So hopefully you are on the website. I'm just going to comment some code for those who are not with us today. All right, so firstly, I'm going to create a variable in order to hold the whole story. And the way we're going to do it is there's going to be a variable which is going to hold the whole story with some quotation marks. However, in order for us to represent the blank space, we're not going to be literally putting in some underscores like we do in real life or a blank line, right? What we're going to do is represent it with these open and closed curly brackets. Now, you may remember that, hey, these are from dictionaries, right? We use these when making dictionaries in Python. Well, yes, but for now, these brackets are going to represent an empty space which has to be filled up. And the way that's going to be filled up is something we're going to be working on next week. But just so you know, this is going to represent a blank space in our story. So however, firstly, let's get towards making the story. So I'm going to make a variable called our story, set that equal to, and what I'm going to do is hold this variable equal to some opening close parentheses, hit the enter button, create some indentations like such, and now inside of these opening close parentheses, I'm going to add our story. So basically, we can make anything we literally want to. And the main thing being, wherever we want a blank space, we just add our open and closed squiggly brackets. So, Abraham, if you got any thoughts, what do you think the story's topic should be? Any ideas for a topic? About a Python class. Huh, sounds familiar, I think, right? So how about we make it about that? So we can say one day there was a, and then we can have an open and close brackets representing, we could fill it up with the name of a language. So we could say there was a blank class going on at the, and then we can put another open and close squiggly bracket at the Space Center, at the library. We could get some creativity going on right there. Add a period, indent, add a plus sign, quotation marks once again for our next sentence. Then we can say while when the class started. We can fill in some name right here, opening close bracket. Knew what was going on, something like that. Add another plus sign, concatenating, meaning we're combining our strings like such. Then out of the blue, everyone heard we can add some sound right here, like such maybe. And then we can add, how about, now the blue, everyone heard a sound. The whole class was in an adjective, maybe like shocked, were they surprised, excited, something like that. Add a plus sign, quotation marks. Okay, so why was the shock caused? Let's see. We can say, Abraham, you got an idea? That's all right. Okay, so we can say, how about Barack Obama? Actually, we can leave this as a open and close dictionary and fill it in. So blank person had entered the Zoom call and had a blank face on, something like that. Add a couple more lines. That person spoke about, open and close, blank, maybe something that person spoke about for a whole hour. And then we can end it off by saying safe. How about safe to say the class was ready to go, and then end it off with another blank, something like that. We can tweak this as next week comes along if you have any new ideas, but I think that's a good starting point. So with our story created and our blank spaces there as well, now comes the time for us to think about how to fill those blank spaces. Yep. Could I copy the story? Yeah, for sure. Here you go. The story is in the chat. There you go. All right. So with our story created, guys, now we got to think about how are we going to fill those blank spaces up. You know, we got the blank spaces, but now we got to think about the words which can fill them up. And the way we're going to be doing this is using a concept we learned about almost a month ago, that being the concept of dictionaries. Remember how we are able to create a dictionary which is has a corresponding key to a corresponding value. And using this key and value system, guys, we're going to be able to essentially simplify and abstract our code so that we have each of our brackets separated correctly. So what I'm going to do is create a dictionary. So we'll say blank spaces dictionary. Set that equal to, remember, to create a dictionary, it's a bit different than creating an array. We use the open and close squiggly brackets. I'm just going to hit enter, get that indentation nice and looking like that. And now we got to think about how we're going to fill all these spaces up. So in order to make a key for our first blank space, what I'm going to do is just say blank word 1. Pretty simple to keep track of it then. When next week we're going to be working on the algorithm in order to fill each blank space up. And then we're going to add our colon in order to show that we are attaching that key to a certain value. Remember this blank word 1. This string represents a certain key. And now we got to create an array, which is going to be responsible for holding some of the random words which can be chosen. So one day there was a, how about we say crazy? We can go with crazy, go with amazing, boring, The one day there was a great, and then marvelous. How about that? And then remember, guys, whenever we are separating the elements in our dictionary, we always add that comma. Oh my gosh, I just had a brain fart right there. We had a comma in order to separate the values, like such. So we got our first blank separated. We know what we're going to be filling it up with. Although we don't know exactly what word is going to be chosen, we know that one of these 5 words is going to be randomly chosen. And now we got to repeat the same process for all of the rest of the blank spaces. So what I'm going to do to make my life easier is just copy this first part and just paste it and say blank word 2. And now blank word 2 is saying, so one day there was a blank class going on at the, now we got to think about a location. So same process, guys, make an array. We're going to put some places in here. We can say NASA at the NASA Space Center. We talked about NASA this morning, earlier today, so it makes sense. Let's do that. NASA Space Center. We can do Schaumburg Library. We can do...
What about the White House?
Yeah, of course. Let's do it. The White House. We can do the White House for sure. We can do Orlando, Florida. And how about lastly, we put
the Zoom call.
The Zoom call, yes. The Zoom call. There we go. And if you guessed it, same process for the third dictionary, for the third blank space, guys. Add that comma. Same process, paste, change the variable to the third blank word, which we're going to be fixing up. Add an array for the possible words that can be chosen. Now, when the class started, we can say everyone. How about no one? We can do only Joe who knew what was happening. We can put Lavdi, and then we can put my name as well. Yeah, exactly. So Abraham, that you bring up a perfect point, my man. You're saying that we could use a single word twice. And in fact, this is going to be something which we're going to start working on next week of how we're going to choose a word and place it in the blank spaces. But the way we're going to work on it is going to be so we make sure that none of these words are chosen twice so that our story is unique every time our program is ran. Good point. Love that you brought that up, though. All right, same process for the fourth blank, guys. Blank word number 4, that is going to be, then out of the blue, everyone heard a. So we can add some onomatopoeia right here, some words, some grammar. So I'm going to get rid of that period right there. So we can get some onomatopoeia rolling. And we can say then there was a loud boom. There was a Zoom ring. Then out of the blue, everyone heard a familiar voice. We can also put everyone heard a loud car. And then lastly, a helicopter, something like that. Same process for the fifth blank space, guys. Blank word number 5. Make that array. So that's going to be the whole class was in. We can put shock. We can do disbelief. We can put denial. You can say the whole class was in. I think that's enough. There's not many more words unless you guys think of Lab. Do you got anything?
No.
We can put a comma then. Same process for number 6, guys. And now we can get a bit more fun right here. Person had entered the Zoom call. So we can go with, let's go with Donald Trump. We can go with Barack Obama. How about we go with the
baby?
Oh yeah, we can go with Luna, of course. We can go with Luna had entered the Zoom call. And apparently she has. There she is, guys. Say hi to Luna. Luna entered the call.
Hi, Luna.
And we can put Joe enter the call as well. Add a comma right there. We're almost near the end. So blank word number 7 is going to represent and had a what type of face on? So a describing word. So had a kind face on, had an angry face, had a smiling face, had a
Peculiar face on.
peculiar face, yes. Peculiar face on. And then how about a monstrous face on? Add a comma. We got 2 more, I believe. There we go. Yeah. So blank word number 8 is going to be that person spoke about what for the whole hour. So we can talk about coding, about sewing,
Politics,
politics. Yep. We can do politics. We can do sports.
geometry,
Oh, geometry. We can do geometry.
probability,
Probability. Yes. Probability and toys. If we get Luna in there potentially. Toys and how about cartoons? And then for our last blank space, that being safe to say the class was ready to go. Where were they ready to go? How about home?
back to bed.
Yes. To bed, to the stores, and then we can put to grandma's house. How about that? All right, that should be good. We got a lot of our potential words, which are going to be randomly chosen. So that wraps up the code, which we're going to be doing for today. However, next week, we're going to be doing a lot more serious coding. Today was a bit more fun, but next week, we're going to be talking about how we're going to choose a random word for one of our arrays. And essentially, we're going to choose a random word, which is going to fill up a random blank space. So for instance, when the class started, we got a blank space right there. The way we're going to code it next week is that we're going to have a function which is going to be responsible for choosing a random number, and then that random number is going to correspond to a random position in our array, and then that random word is going to go in the blank space. And hopefully by the end, we should have a random story, and for fun, we can generate multiple random stories, read them out. Let's see what's the wackiest story we can get. But that is something we'll be doing for next week. So what I'm going to do is just below, we can create the function, which is going to be responsible for all that. So I'm just going to say def create story, and I'll comment down, this is going to be the function responsible for choosing the random words and putting them into the right blank spaces. So that takes care for our first week on working on this Mad Libs story generator. All right, guys. Well, that was all we were going to work on with our Mad Libs generator for today. As always, guys, hope you guys had a great time. Hopefully, you guys learned something cool with our daily fun fact of the day. As always, guys, share with your friends, family. Super cool to see how what we're learning has such a cool impact. And as always, the stuff you make, guys, you can definitely share with your friends. Like the Rock Paper Scissors project, the project we're working on right now. It's a bunch of cool stuff. But as always, guys, take care. I'll potentially catch you on this Wednesday's web development course. But if not, this Friday, we are going to be hosting our teen trivia for the week. Maybe we might do a space-themed edition, speaking about today, the whole thing with NASA, right? But guys, take care. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.